Millionaire BBC star Graham Norton has attacked John Cleese, the latest GBNews super signing, and has played down the existence of so-called cancel culture. Now, Graham Norton is one of the great chat show stars of the last few decades, alongside Wogan, Parkinson and Jonathan Ross. But I was profoundly offended by his comments, given that Norton himself, as a privileged and very well-paid presenter, should seek to gaslight the huge numbers of artists and creative people who have been or feel censored, or who have had their livelihoods destroyed for having the wrong views. Booker Prize-winning author Kazuo Ishiguro has said it's so bad now that young writers are self-censoring for fear of losing a book deal. What about the colossal amount of vitriol poured in the direction of our greatest living author, JK Rowling, the best-selling genius who taught a generation of young people to love books? Her crime? Pointing out the scientific fact that there are two biological sexes, a man and a woman. And as a former domestic abuse victim, speaking up for women's only rights, women's safety and female-only spaces. For that, she's been disowned by the stars of the Harry Potter films. Actors like Daniel Radcliffe and Emma Watson have publicly thrown her under the bus purely for her quoting GCSE biology textbooks. The comments of Radcliffe and Watson are particularly egregious, given that Rowling gave them a career when she cast them in that billion-dollar movie franchise. If it wasn't for her, Emma Watson would be flipping burgers at McDonald's, and Daniel Radcliffe, if he'd made it in acting, would be playing a dead body in Casualty. For Norton to dismiss cancel culture, in which people's views and comments are policed on a daily basis, is double standards from someone who has benefited so much from a culture in which he has been able to do his often risque and, to some, offensive comedy. Now, I loved his Channel 4 show, V. Graham Norton, but it was pure filth. Good luck to him. But this is the abusive dynamic of so-called woke culture, extreme political correctness and the policing of words and thoughts. The primary technique of the abuser is to deny to the victim it's happening. You're mad. It's in your head. The abuser's playbook is to tell you the abuse you're suffering is imagined as their grip on your thoughts and behaviour tightens by the day. Norton's remarks were astonishingly ageist as well, as he described Cleese as a typical man of a certain age who's now facing accountability for his comments and doesn't like it. How can an entertainer like Norton possibly justify muzzling John Cleese, a man who gave the world Fawlty Towers, Monty Python and A Fish Called Wanda? And if this culture of political correctness and ultra-censorship had existed back in the day, we wouldn't have that wonderful body of work that we currently enjoy. Don't take my word for it. Other comic geniuses like French and Saunders and Billy Connolly have railed against cancel culture, saying they couldn't do now the brilliant comedy that made them so famous back in the day. It's unfortunate that I have to explain this to him, but Graham Norton clearly doesn't understand what free speech is. After all, The Life of Brian, one of the funniest films of all time, was banned in his native Ireland. That's better, is it, Graham? Is that what you want? To ban the next Life of Brian, the next Holy Grail, the next Fawlty Towers? In the end, your beloved accountability will lead to no art at all. Woke academics have been busy rewriting Shakespeare, for example, to remove the problematic bits. And the dystopian book 1984 now has a trigger warning. You couldn't make it up. So be careful, big guy, because you could be a victim of the cancel culture yourself, the existence of which you deny. As we've seen with right-on millionaire hypocrites like Gary Lineker, battling HMRC to get his tax bill down, or Gary Neville, taking the dollar from blood-stained Qatar. The woke crocodile will eventually devour its own. So let me help you, Graham Norton. Whilst we rightly have laws against hatred and lies, above and beyond that, free speech is free. Clues in the title. No ifs, no buts, no maybes. But comments like this, calling wrecked careers and Twitter pylons accountability, feed the monster of an increasingly illiberal culture in which celebrities and ordinary people alike are terrified of saying or thinking the wrong thing for fear of the consequences. Be clear, if there are consequences, it is not free speech. That's how it works. Free speech is, by definition, consequence-free. Graham, you're one of the best and most talented entertainers in the country. But on this one, you're having a laugh.